Hello, everybody, and welcome to our latest edition of Agency Uncut. I'm Karl Ormerod, and I'm joined here with my co-host Paula Davies and 𝗁𝗂𝗄. Now, I first want to apologise. We are a month, not 2 weeks as we normally, but we do have a good excuse. We had our national conference right in the middle of all this, and although we tried to do it the week before, I and Paula were in London at the relaunch of Luxury, and then the week after the conference, Jake was really rude because he took a holiday, which is totally out of order, and his tan's disappeared, so I'm glad for that. So we're here a month on. We apologise for that, and we promise not to do it again. I just wanted to really go off-piste on this one and just talk about the conference, and we were there for 2 days. It was super intense, and to see what you guys picked up from it, because there were some really good speakers. I like the guy from Australia, Lee Woodward, thought he was excellent. Oh, he's American, not Australian. Sorry, it was a guy that last day. And I thought he was good, but I really was interested in what 𝗕𝗰𝗂𝗏 was doing with AI. What do you guys think of that?
It was really interesting. It was really interesting. You know, the world continuously evolves, doesn't it? And this really does show us that, you know, property is very much a part of the evolving world that we're living in, and you either become part of it or you get left behind.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I think it was an important take on it as well, which I found really interesting. Was it'd be very easy to say, you know, AI is going to change everything and blah blah, but it wasn't. It was more a case of how agents using AI will actually change it, you know, and the way in which we use it and utilize it to benefit the customer. You know, that's what it's more about. It's how we can utilize it to benefit the customer, not just get rid of everything, all tasks.
Yeah, I think that, you know, when you look at the sort of forward-thinking agencies across the globe, I think the ones that are embracing AI are certainly the ones that are forward-thinking and moving forwards. But I think we also need to be aware that, you know, AI does make mistakes, and you know, you've got to be really careful with copy and script. I mean, I think that, you know, talking to Felix afterwards, you know, he does use that prompt to say, this is really what I want, to create the correct prompt to put into AI. And then obviously it distributes what you want that makes sense. But, you know, we use it for the brochures, and you've got to be careful because it can make up things. And it's like images as well. I don't remember there being lights outside, or, you know, where's that tree appeared from? It just throws things randomly in there. So I think we're in its infancy. But I certainly think for us as agents, you know, it's like Chris, our photographer that we all use. You know, he does AI with the Twilights, and it's just, you know, talking to Nicole at the conference, who works for a photography company. She came up to me and said, "Oh, I lost all that money last year because you weren't doing Twilights," like jokingly. But she was driving like an hour to do Twilights at night, you know, and getting home at 11 o'clock. Now it's a flick of a switch, and it looks just the same. So I think it's not so much the power of AI, it's the convenience factor.
I mean, I think I told you, Karl, the other day, I took a phone call of somebody booking a market appraisal, and when I asked them where did they find my number from, market research, ChatGPT.
Wow.
So it wasn't Google.
What did they type in then?
The best agent locally, obviously, Karl.
Of course. Of course. But it's amazing. I think this is why one of the really good things with, just slightly digressing about EXP, with the luxury side of it, is that we're doing these individual microsites for each property. You know, something that we've kind of wrestled away from the US, where it used to only get 10 as an agent, and now you can do it on every single listing. And talking to a couple of people that are kind of industry gurus with data and that, and, you know, they're saying that, you know, in a couple of years' time, you'll go on to your preferred AI subscriber and you'll say, I'm looking for a 4-bedroom detached with a swimming pool and double garage, blah, blah, blah. And it won't just send you to Rightmove. It will send you to that specific property. Now, I suppose you could argue that, you know, there's me playing devil's advocate. You could argue, well, you might miss something. But I'm guessing that you then just change your criteria as you go along. But what it does, A, avoids you missing stuff, and B, it makes it easier to drill down to what you want. And this is why I know that in the US, these microsites for individual properties are game changers, because AI drives it to that particular property where you've got the imagery, the script, the floor plan, the video, and they're just seeing one property. So from an estate agent's marketing point of view, you're not sort of sending your client back to Rightmove to lose them amongst everybody else.
Yeah.
So I think it's brilliant. I've been sending out the new ones to my clients today, because I always do it on the 1st of July when I update everybody in amazingly in depth. And 3 or 4 of them come up and wow, they look absolutely incredible, because they just look so better than the listings. So, you know, I think that's the power of AI.
It's going to be interesting to watch how the property portals evolve.
If they do evolve.
Because everything you've just said then is AI driven. So, you know, is that something that we will come away from? You know, we've been so led by them for so many years. It'd be interesting.
I've seen a huge, I mean, I'm sure you guys will agree as well. This is also another big benefit from EXP, in a sense of how expensive portals have become, and they've consistently grown in that pricing point. And I think it's because they knew this was coming. And if the easiest way to explain it is just like Amazon and stuff now, where it's one place and everything's there. AI is the same sort of thing. If you go into Google and look for a pair of trainers or a dress or something like that, at the top it shows shopping and just brings up every company, but every single thing. It'll be the same thing with property, but it'll probably get rid of Google and stuff like that as well, because it'll just be AI and bring up every single listing, as long as, like you say, it's got its own website or domain to be pulled.
I mean, how many times you used to, you know, you just Google something, you scroll through the paid ads and the sponsored ads and the stuff that was irrelevant, you get frustrated. Now you go onto AI and just type it in and it just gives you exactly what you want. It's so much more filtered, isn't it?
It is. We do less thinking and less footwork. It's all very much presented to us, and that's how it's going with property. And we need to be ahead of the game.
I think it's really clever as well, though, where we use it in rather than using it in a blanket form, in the sense of we just use the same thing for every single property, for example. We're very tailored in the way we do things, and you can teach the AI to work the way that we want to, or present things in the way we want it to. So it is still very, very personalized, although it's being assisted along, you know, with AI.
Yeah, it's like when I go out to do the videos with Chris, you know, he'll say to me, what's your brief? I know you're very good at this, Jake. You know, he always says about you, really organised, you know exactly what you want down to a T. And I think that when I see Chris, he says, well, I think that, you know, we could do somebody having breakfast on that balcony, and at night they'll be having a drink, and then we could have a wedding there, and we can have a barbecue there. Well, you know, you'd have to, couple of years ago, you have to bring in all your friends on a bus and say, can you just sit there, and it'd be like a 2-day job. You'd be creating a mini movie. Now all he does is he just sends that brief to the editors wherever they are in the world, and he wakes up in the morning, there's this video that we've had. It's just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've seen people use AI for home staging, which we have laughed about on many occasions.
Greatly.
And it is only as good as what you put into it. And like you say, fortunately, we work with a really, really good photographer and videographer who is excited about what he does and wants to develop things in a certain way, not just stage this room as a living room. It's stage this room as a living room in this type of style, with this type of setting, this type of colour, you know, and there's so much more to it. You are really designing it, but then that just picks up the legwork and does the editing for you. Yeah.
It's interesting because where I operate, we all operate in quite a similar area. Where I operate, I don't see any of the photographers or any of the estate agents using professional photographers. So you think that's fine. If they don't want to invest in that, that's entirely up to them. But what's stopping them going out if they're using an iPhone, and when they come across an agent, they use an iPad? I think, well, okay, that's what you want to do. That's your preferred route to market. That's okay. Drop those into AI. Ask AI to, you know, filter them and make them better, and try let them. They don't do it. You know, if I was an agency now and I knew AI, I'd take every single picture of a front of a house, drop it into AI, ask them to twilight it and change all my listings. But then nobody's embracing it. And the thing is, it's free. This is what I don't get. It's free. We're not, you know, you're not having to, you know, if you go to a professional photography company now and they say, can you stage these pictures? They want like 50 quid an image. Whereas ChatGPT or Claude or Microsoft, whichever one you use, they'll do it for nothing. So what's the excuse?
I think it's not leaning into it in the way that we do, the way that personal agents do, is that these things are going to affect the ability to sell a property in a positive way, and therefore get the client the result and us personally the result that we want. Then we're all for it. Whereas obviously other potential, like say, corporate industries or larger independents that are just very, very busy, they can't really see the value in it. I'll say yet. I think they will, you know, eventually start to see. I mean, if they can cut corners and costs, they will. So I think eventually they probably will, you know, start using it a lot more. But for now, it's utilising it within your marketing, most definitely, but it's also utilising it in your day to day, you know, to help.
I think we see such a disparity anyway between how various agents advertise, that, you know, we're sat here talking about AI, but I think we can also step back quite a few spaces and actually see there are so many things that aren't being done out there that we're just doing as a matter of course. You know, not every agent's doing videos. Hardly anyone's presenter-led.
Yeah.
You know, okay, I think pretty much everybody's on floor plans, but, you know, there's so many steps for a lot of agents to take before they even get to the point of considering AI. And, you know, we're here talking about how we can enhance what we already do, but we all believe we do, and I think we certainly do the best we possibly can of what's out there, of what, you know, the current tools are. That's not the case with every agent out there. It's not. A lot have got a lot to catch up.
Do you think that there is, obviously with a lot of old school agents, and I don't mean that disrespect, I mean people that maybe own an agency for 30 years don't want to embrace change, they don't feel that they need to change? Do you think that people are, I suppose I'm asking various questions here, I think people are like saying they're going to get AI'd out, you know, years time ago, oh, that's AI, that's AI, that. Do you know what I mean? They're going to look at everything, well, that's AI. But you know what you're trying to do is create, I always say to people when I do a market appraisal and we go to market, and I say, this is what we're going to do. And the reason we do it, we're not trying to make your house better. We're trying to sell a lifestyle. And I think since COVID, there's been a massive shift in not, I need 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's, I want to be there, I want to be there. I want space around me. I want a different kind of lifestyle. So do you think that they don't embrace it because, as you just said, Jake, the corporates, because they've got too many listings, or they can't be bothered, or, you know, I don't know what are you, I mean, it's great that they don't, because it makes us market leaders even more, but why do you think they don't do it?
I think the gap is broadening more than I've ever seen. Obviously, granted, I've not been in the industry as long as you guys, you know, 10 years, but you guys have obviously been in it a lot longer. But I think the gap is divided a lot more since self-employed personal estate agencies come about. Obviously, we only take up, I think it was 2% of the market or something as well. So that gap is widening, and people are starting to see, well, actually, we used to think all estate agents are the same, and they're very much not. And we're starting to see that a lot more now publicly, rather than just behind closed doors, which is obviously the same thing of why we got the podcast going. I think, going back to why I think they may not be adapting to it, a lot of it will be, like anything, it's change, but it's worry or not knowing enough about it. But it's like that with anything, you know, social media and things like that. We're like, oh, we don't use that, it won't ever work. That's probably one of the biggest tools now. And people wouldn't have thought that a couple of years ago. They thought property world's different, that doesn't go on social media. And now social media is probably one of the biggest tools for it. So I think it is probably not looking into it enough. I know a lot of it, I've worked with, say, really good independents previously, Northwold and Crosby. They were really, really good. And they were consistently looking at what is next, or what's changing, or how can we get better, where the majority aren't.
Well, I think
take that a step back.
Sorry,
Carl. What you just said there, Jake. There wasn't even such a thing as a personal estate agent. There was simply the high street.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're here is change, and it's evolving. And as you said, I think change in general, everybody reacts to change differently. Somebody told me about a book, nothing to do with property. It's about that thick. It's really thin. It's like a quick read. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And it really shows you how people react to change and how they behave and the different behaviours. And I think that's what will happen in a estate agency.
I have to read that one.
2 points on that. Going back to Northwold, they are an exceptionally good estate agent in Crosby. And I think that maybe the disadvantage they have is they don't have what we have. You know, we have this 2-day conference. We have all these high profile speakers that the brand spends a fortune. It is very intense. There's one speaker after a speaker. We have what I think is amazing, where you'll sit down and there's 4 agents will talk about something, and then 4 agents talk about something else, and 4 agents talk about, you know, it's really all about the agents, training the agents. And that's quite unusual in this industry because it's so competitive. So I think that we're lucky that we've got the support system that EXP provide us to be able to go into the conference world on a Friday or a Wednesday or a Monday and watch this and watch that. You know, they don't sell it to you. It's not a bolt on. It's not an additional revenue share for them. It's, we're providing this free to help the agents. And You can either do none of them or you can do all of them. So I think we do have that advantage that it is put in front of us. Maybe these agents out there don't even know where to start. So that maybe is what the problem is.
And one of the biggest things, I mean, myself and Paula met up yesterday, didn't we, with another 22 something agents from EXP. And one of the big worries when people think, oh, you go into independent personal estate agency, it's very good. It's going to be very, very competitive, and there's lots of people competing and stuff like that. And on one hand, yeah, that is going to always be the case. But on the other hand, you've got 23, 25 like-minded agents turning up on a Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday morning, just to learn about something else that's evolved. And since the government's mentioned about things changing within the speed of sales and processes and stuff like that, and within days we've met up and we're having a meeting talking about how we can evolve or how we can help each other, which is just not something that normally happens in the industry, is it? I mean, everyone's very slow to react, but we're reacting really quickly and getting together to talk about it.
But it goes back to your comment about 2%. I mean, if you think about it, I think it was at the conference, not this year, last year, in May last year, where we had that graph that was going up and down about how EXP has gone to #1. And I think that we are above Connells, who have 1,000 branches across a multitude of names. We've got 1,000 agents and we do more business. I mean, it's just mad, isn't it? To think there's 3 people sat here that might do more business than 3 high street agents. My godson wanted to get involved in a estate agency eventually, and I said to his dad, who's my best friend, right, try that agency because they do good training, blah blah blah. So he's gone to them, and I was talking to him about a week ago, and he said, oh yeah, he's moved offices now, and in the office that he's working in, they're a bit busier. I said, well, what sort of stock have they got? Oh, I don't know. So I logged it. They had like 20 listings in a high street branch with a maximum price of 400 grand. That just can't make money. Now look to the branch he'd moved from, which was a city centre branch, and they had like 26. And I'm thinking, that's less than me.
And how many staff are sat in there?
4 in each office.
How are they busy?
Yeah, 4 in each office. Got a branch manager, a valuer, a senior negotiator, and a trainee negotiator, which is what he is. It's madness. It just doesn't work.
I think when you say about busyness as well, though, like when you say it's what you perceive as being busy and what is actually manageably busy. I mean, we know every element of the process, so we can get involved in all of it, which does make a huge difference. There's not one person doing one thing and one person doing another, so the need for 4 or 5 staff quickly disappears. But going back to what you mentioned a moment ago about the 1,000 agents from the conference, Karl, there's over 1,000 agents now in EXP. So, but obviously self-employed only takes up 2%. EXP takes up an even smaller amount of that, and we're still selling more than every other agency. But also, it was the fall through rate that shocked me. So our fall through rate 17-18% across 1,000 agents, so that's the average across 1,000 others, and the average across the area, the country at the minute is for 2026 is about 24%, 25%. So it's literally 1 in 3 sales fall through, but 1 in 6 with EXP, which you literally got twice as much chance of getting through to key handover.
But it's because we've all got skin in the game, and I don't like using that expression. I've got a self-employed agent friend of mine, and his expression is, I think he uses, we put something behind the bar. That's the expression he uses. But I don't kind of want to use, we've got skin in the game. But it's an expression that basically says is we're accountable. We are there and we're spending our own money, so we need to make it work. But going back to that 2%, interestingly, I was last week back down in London again at the 𝗪𝗲 party, because obviously we've been luxury now on 𝗪𝗲. I was talking to an agent, we were chatting for a little while, and checks out this guy works for London's biggest self-employed model, very, very successful model, 95 agents, really going for it in a city. And we were talking about our model, we were talking about Talk, that's another successful self-employed model, and a few others. And he said, I will have money that within the next 10 years, there'll be 50,000 self-employed agents. The high street would disappear. He said, because it's just, we have got to be America, Australia, Dubai, South Africa. We cannot continue like this in this industry. It just does not work. And while people suddenly see a different option, which is the bit like electric cars, isn't it? Yeah, people think, oh, I'm not going to go electric, and suddenly everybody goes electric. But that's the same with us. Everybody would go, well, I like that guy. I can get hold of him at 9 o'clock on a Sunday, and he does the viewings, he gives me feedback. I'm not chasing 10 people. You know, we all know the answers to this. But I think the important thing is that there is so much room for the self-employed model to grow, because if we've got 1,000 and we're only 2%, and you add in all the other brands, it's got to be good for the industry. Wiping out, I hate to say it, and I might get chastised for it, but wiping out the high streets is the best thing for a estate agency.
I think if we look in general with the high street, regardless of what industry, the high street has and is being wiped out anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so towns, cities, everywhere is evolving. So it almost feels like a natural progression that high street estate agencies also get wiped out. There is no need to place a window card in a window anymore and to walk into an office. You know, I can't tell you the last time I walked into a bank or I walked into a high street shop. Never happens.
Well, you've got to have clients annoyed that they had to.
Say again?
Annoyed that they had to go into a branch.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you've got to find a bank that's open. You know,
so it's just natural that this is going to evolve in the same way. And the sooner the better, because everything that we're doing is for the benefit of the client.
But I think go back to the transition of it over into self-employed and stuff as well now is if a standard high street agent, for example, lists 100 houses, but only 50 of those houses sell, they may charge a lower fee for each individual, but you basically pay for the other 50 properties to be marketed. Yeah. So you're better off, rather than paying a lower fee at a 50% chance of selling, but you could have twice as chance selling for not even paying double in some circumstances, paying just a little bit more than high street agents in some circumstances. Yeah. So I think it is. We know it's evolving already, and it's evolved relatively quickly. And I think with AI and everything like that now as well, and the right quality agents using AI in the right way, we're going to see it sort of jump even quicker now, I think.
No, definitely. I think we all know it's the way forward, as we wouldn't be sat here. Anybody take anything else from the conference that they thought was golden nuggets?
I'd say on a general level, so I'm not necessarily saying agent specific, but I thought 𝗲𝗏 was fantastic.
Yeah, she wasn't she?
Really inspirational.
Yeah, I mean, she was, she put her heart on her sleeve and told her whole story. I mean, I didn't realize she'd had so many issues with the drug situation. I was like, wow, to put it all out there. But what a great presenter. You see like Adam, who's brilliant on stage, and then Ben Moore and Scott Gunner, and then you see, no disrespect to them guys, 𝗲𝗏 think, yeah, that's why she's on TV, because they're just a completely different level, aren't they?
But what was interesting was 𝗲𝗏 was saying that from a TV perspective, how it's evolving as well. Advertising, there's little money in TV advertising. It's all on social media. That's where everybody is. Everybody's looking at the social media channels, not necessarily watching
and
TV.
Social media traction. I mean, I was looking at getting some logo caps for the golf day. Oh my God, Facebook, the amount of adverts popping up for logo caps just driving me insane. And that's the problem, isn't it? You look at one thing and then everything just tunnels in on you. Yeah. And that's kind of like what you want to a degree, because you want that choice. Well, you're not going to walk down the high street to find a shop that does logo caps. I mean, we are the worst people in the world for Amazon. I think Amazon's here every day. And, in the morning, Dawn might say to me, oh, I've run out of something. I order it and they delivers it the same day. And that's just mental.
Yeah, again, that's that movement forward, isn't it? Where everything's in one place and it can be sent. It's convenience, but at the same time, it's quality convenience, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Good. Right, I think we'll just do a short one this week, because I know we've not really had a subject to discuss, but I'm glad we talked about the conference.
Yes, England is playing.
Forgot about that. yeah. So we don't do a Netherlands or a Germany. Yeah, good. Right, thank you both. I'll catch up with you soon.
Take care. Next time. Bye. Bye.